northern Kentucky as opposed.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah, that's
Renee,
right.
as a practical matter, as you get into Owen, Grant, Gallatin counties, there's far less attorneys. So realistically, there's far less that would do municipal law. So as you get into those areas, you're not getting near, it really isn't increasing your number to choose from greatly.
I'm just saying Boone, Campbell, and Kenton are not, they're northern Kentucky, but that's not what's officially the 7 counties.
No, I agree.
But as I understand the consensus that we're not limiting it to northern Kentucky, we're using the entire state.
Yes.
If we can get one from northern Kentucky that is willing to do it, that's fine. But if we can't, then we got other resources available to us.
Yeah, Vicki, go ahead.
According to the ordinance that we put in last year, who did we say was going to be the judge?
It doesn't
Was
say.
just going to be the council was going to sit on the evidentiary or whatever you call it? Is that what it was going to be? The one that we had from last year?
It does, the ordinance that we passed last year does not make a provision for that. It makes the decision of the mayor subject to the approval of the city council.
Okay. Yeah, and I remember I was not real happy with that because I like the idea of the evidentiary or the, like you said, the people coming with their lawyer and saying, hey, you know, that makes more sense to me also.
Right.
But I think somehow we need to protect them. I don't want them to just be, you know, it's too arbitrary, and just for somebody to come in and be mayor and say, hey, you know, I want to get rid of this person, that scares me. If I were a city employee, I'd be scared to death. So I think they do need some protection like the fire and police have. And if we could do something like that, that would be great. I would be for that.
As I understand it, that protection would only extend to, or not extend to those that the city administrator could terminate, correct? I mean, you've delegated authority to the city administrator to do everything, including management personnel. And if they want to terminate somebody at will, they're not restricted from doing such, correct?
Yeah, they would.
No,
They are?
they are restricted.
Yeah, they'd have to go through the same process. I mean, basically, progressive discipline, and
Okay.
is that correct?
Well, progressive discipline is an issue that we've talked about. It's not
That's not
included
necessarily-
in the ordinance that I've proposed. We certainly are looking at putting in provisions that, because they're in the personnel policies, that would all be in there. But the mayor cannot delegate to a city administrator more authority than he has. So the restrictions that we're putting in place in this ordinance would apply to the mayor, the city administrator, if he delegates it. The purpose of it is to protect the employees.
Correct.
It doesn't make any difference if we're protecting them from the city administrator or the mayor. You know, that protection would be in place.
One other thing that you mentioned, I believe, in one of your letters was that there should be some kind of personnel record, that it would be recorded somehow that this person was advised.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea because the last case we had, that was not the case. At least that's what we're told.
Again, that's part of progressive discipline.
Yeah.
That's something we've been talking about. We haven't finalized it yet, but I appreciate that comment.
But the current Kentucky, or the current statutes require a written notice if they're going to terminate at will, correct?
Well,
I mean, I thought that's the current state.
It requires it, but the problem is that, and this is the second draft of this ordinance. The first draft didn't have anything in it about progressive discipline, and I recognize that, wait a minute, even though we've got these procedures in place, the mayor could have a due process hearing and fire somebody for not having their shoes shined right, and that just didn't seem right. So we put some provision in there that said, wait a minute, for some offenses, not all of them, I mean, if somebody, you know, runs over somebody and kills somebody because they're drunk, I don't think we want any progressive discipline. I think we want to have the mayor to have the authority to terminate them right away. But for lesser and minor offenses, we recognize that some progressive discipline was probably appropriate. We really haven't finalized exactly what that progression is going to be. And that's what we'd be working on if you all agree that we should do this.
I have a question when you're done.
Okay.
Some of us were concerned, and I told Mayor Rouse this, and I'll tell you this too. This has nothing to do with you, and this was nothing to do with Mayor Rouse.
Okay.
But there's been certain cities, mostly in the South, that have had this new mayor come in that just cleans house. Mm-hmm. Because they just want to start, and like I said, I told Mayor Rouse the same thing. I don't want anybody current or past being offended, but if we ever someday do get somebody like that, are they protected because there has to be documentation? Is that what
Yes.
this, and I'm just reading that, I wanted to make sure that that's.
Yes.
I think that's all we wanted for in the future, is what we were looking for.
Yeah,
We just didn't want somebody to be able to come in and clean house for no reason.
The idea was that, wait a minute, if employees would be entitled to know what it is that what the complaint is, you know. If there's a complaint about what they're doing or not doing, and they're not aware that the mayor is concerned about it, it's not fair to terminate him for doing something that they don't know that he's not happy with. So at least there should be some process by which that employee is advised or informed, you're not doing what we think you should be doing, and given an opportunity to correct the way their job performance, basically, to conform to what's required. It's kind of unfair to discipline somebody for doing something they don't know that is not satisfactory.
Corinne, when I read what Frank had put together here, my initial thought was that he's created an ordinance that seems like it's more long-standing. It's not going to matter who's sitting up here, and it's not going to matter who's sitting out there. It's something that's more fair and unbiased, you know, and something that I think will last a lot longer. Because, you know, as it's written right now, you could have an employee that is, you know, let's say they're behaving badly or doing, you know, whatever might necessitate them being terminated. And if they have 7 friends on council, whether it's you or whether it's someone else, there's nothing the city can do. That person can't be terminated. And that could create a big problem in the future.
Is this addressing then, is what Corinne said, is this addressing like the steps that, you know, that there has to be written, we put in there, you know, that it can't be just that it will nilly-nilly, whatever, you know, just because we don't like you or what, you know.
Yeah.
So we, you know, it has to be documented.
Yes. Your question is, there protections in here that protect employees from arbitrary termination?
Yes.
And the answer is yes.
Okay,
It's the whole purpose of it.
okay.
And I think what you're also saying is kind of what Randy was alluding to, that maybe there should be some more definition as to what the process is.
Yeah, that's what it,
Yeah.
you know, it says that it can't be the first offense if it's not murder or something, or embezzling or whatever, you know, those are common things. But,
Good idea.
but go down. Keeping that in mind, okay? No, I mean.
Kevin's watching at home.
He's awake now. He's awake now.
That's good. The counteract.
Yeah, that's to have it set there, you know, so that a mayor can't clean house for no reason at all, that there has to be documentation, and there has to be more than one documentation that's a minor, you know, hey, you didn't answer the phone today, right, or something, or whatever, you know, that you've done this repeatedly, and we've told you to stop, but you still continue, so, you know, 3 strikes you're out or something, you know, whatever.
Yeah, well,
Wouldn't the restrictions be in the personnel policy itself then, rather than the ordinance?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Wouldn't those restrictions be in the personnel policy?
They should be in both the personnel policies
And
and
this-
the ordinance. The statute requires an ordinance. The personnel policies were adopted by municipal order. There were reasons for
But
that.
they both be in both the personnel policies and this written ordinance then?
They should be consistent, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So you
So,
want us to look at this and
well, no, I just need the answer to two questions. Number one, do you agree with my recommendation that the ordinance should be changed? If you do you also agree that the protection that the ordinance that I'm going to design or draft extend to all employees as opposed to only some employees? If the answer to both those questions is yes, then I've got the information I need, and I'll go ahead and proceed with it.
Yes from me.
Yes on both.
By me, okay.
Okay, that's all we need.
Why we pay you the big bucks.
All right. All right, thank you. The, I've got a couple quick things that I wanted to bring up, just that aren't on the agenda. And I just wanted to bring it up in front of all council because I think the discussion will make it a lot easier. We put together the committees and assigned people to the committees. One thing that I'm not completely clear on is who does IT report to?
Who's who?
Information
Where does IT or the information technologies department, the website, the communications, where does that? We've got a director, or we've got a position of IT director, but I don't necessarily know what committee that director reports to.
That IT director has a lot to do with the police department?
administration.
I think it's not IT.
Administration.
I think so.
That's why I wasn't sure if it was police or administration.
Could be.
They've already been administration, has been in the past.
That's what I would think.
Okay.
But I asked a few people and I was getting differing responses. That's why I wanted to kind of ask us while we're all here.
Well, I mean, I think what we're all thinking is if it was gonna be the person we thought it was gonna be, the IT person that used to be a police officer, that used to be in charge of IT, but that person not coming back. Who's our IT director now?
We do not have an IT director right now.
So the one we thought was coming back is not coming back now, right?
I'm not aware. I guess my point, it doesn't have to do with the personnel necessarily.
Right, I'm just saying, but the way we had it set up, is that person would report to the police department, since that was dispatching everything over there, and he was the one setting it up, was working for the police department, so therefore we came through with the police committee, because he was still a police officer also.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, if that person's not gonna be one, we're gonna get a new one, and that's gonna be up to how you all wanna do it, whether it be administration or,
I would say administration is probably the right place.
please?
Well, I'm saying as far as committee, the committee, the council people that he has to be responsible to.
Well, yeah, because it's broader than.
Because he's gonna be working both.
Right.
That's what I would think too. I would think that as well.
I have no problem with that at all.
Admin? Okay. And I wanted to let everybody know too that, well, I wanted to mention also that our city administrator, Mark Fields, is gone tonight. I think we all know. I wanted to make sure that everybody in the audience knows as well that Mark's father passed away yesterday. I'd like everybody to keep him and his family in your prayers. But we met with two people from a apartment, I guess it was really rental property owners association that is like a greater Cincinnati area. And we were looking at some of the items on the rental permit ordinance, and these guys had some really good ideas. They had some incentives that would help promote the good behavior, the desired behavior, the things that we want to happen, rather than looking at this ordinance as just something that is penalizing when someone's doing the wrong thing. And yeah, I wish Mark was here to say this himself too, but I think we both agreed that there are some things that could be done to that ordinance that could be tweaked that would help it tremendously. And I don't necessarily know what the process would be.
Set up a committee meeting.
Do we form a committee or do we
got a
put that
committee.
into
Our
that?
next committee meeting,
Okay,
yeah, we can talk about it, and then Mark will be here too. and-
okay. And do we get you involved with that as well, Frank?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I would be involved in it.
okay. Thank you.
Or would it be our,
The last part of this is, there is a property acquisition that, okay.
Now I better make the motion. I make a motion that we move into executive session as provided by KRS 61.810, paragraph 1, section B, property acquisition.
All right.
Need a second.
Do I say, can I? Okay. Looks like we have a second by Ms. Kyle.
Or ask everybody to leave.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I think I forgot the discussion part of that.
Just a tiny little part.
Do we want to discuss that? Anyone?
Get people to
Okay.
leave.
You have to clear the room.
No, I think we actually have to leave, don't we?
Well, and if
Either
they
way.
want to stay,
If they want to stay, we have to leave, or they can leave and we can
Yeah.
stay.
And I,
I figured you guys would get the hint.
farewell, folks.
Adios.
thanks, Greg.
Do you want?